And it's time to do 55 minutes of business. That's what we do on Business Incorporated right here. This is what we have prepared for you today. It's happening in Kenya. Accelerated Partnership for Renewables in Africa. The forum begins in Nairobi. And in Kenya, dollar deposits we see hit 210 billion on shilling gain. And Channels is very much in Dubai 2024. Gitex Global, it also opens today. Good afternoon, I'm Ini John Mekwa. This is Business Incorporated. We start from the global space. Oil prices on Monday wiped off nearly all of the gains that it made last week after data showed that China's inflation rate declined and a lack of clarity on the country's economic stimulus plans. It stoked fears about fuel demand in the world's biggest crude, and we would see that China is a major mover of global oil prices. So we see that it's down 1.56% because of lack of clarity, in spite of that press conference that was held on Saturday. $77.80 is what Brent stands out at this time, while WTI $74.34 after it dropped 1.6%, and it's all based on China's economy. And both benchmarks, you see, give up those gains that they had last week. We're still in the global space now, looking at metals to see what that is looking like at this time. Well, we could see that spot gold is down 0.2%, $2,651.99 per ounce. That's for spot gold. US gold features also in the red, $2,669.20. It does seem like the metals are settling around 2006. We celebrated when they hit 2,500, but we've gone past that now. They're settling on 2,600. We look at other metals also at this time. We see spot silver also in the red, 1.3% down, $31.12. Platinum down $1.2, $972.90, down 1.2%. And then palladium also down 1.6% to $1,051.81 per ounce. And traders see a roughly 89% chance of the Fed cutting rate again, but this time they're looking at 25 basis points. Remember, the first one was 50 basis points. Well, now 25 basis points seems to be in the horizon in the November meeting, and then 11% chance that it will leave rates unchanged. As the days come closer to that, of course, it will get clearer what the Fed may do about that. Now come to Nigeria. Talk about corporate now, and we see Transcorp Power. They've released their financials for Q3, the third quarter. Impressive growth that we see there. For instance, revenue grew up 153% to 223.6 billion. Profit before tax up 198%. Profit after tax 186%, and total asset up 62%, while shareholders fund went up 82% to 105 billion naira. Well, it does seem like the power sector is thriving at this time, and of course there's been reactions to this. The Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Evans Ogbogoro, expresses strong confidence in the company's financial trajectory, among others. And once again, the issue of implementation of policies in Nigeria is a concern. This time is the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria. The Executive Secretary of the association's Export Promotion Group, Dr. Benedict Obiohas, is asking the Nigerian Export Promotion Council and other related agencies to do more. Dr. Obiohas was a guest on Business Morning earlier today.
Government can lower the cost of production. It can give him more incentives, like lowering cost of production, exchange rate that I mentioned, cost of borrowing today that I mentioned. They can lower that, and it will help them a great deal. And they can also go as far as cost of energy. Energy is very, very wonderful today, you know that. is wonderful today when you come to how much they are paying to produce. So that's why even some of the products that we're having in the market, they're reducing in size and we're still paying more. And as the naira is depreciating, the dollar is going up. You buy ordinarily in economics, if the local currency is lower, it's devalued. When you export, you make more money. But it's not applicable now because as the dollar is going and we are importing more things abroad. If both of those things were being sourced locally, the raw material are being sourced locally, the machinery, spare parts are being sourced locally, beautiful. But now, it's not the case. So it's not benefit the devaluation of the naira or the high exchange rate as against the naira is not beneficial to the manufacturer.
Baka. Now, making customers king remain the key to a sustainable business. The conversation topped meetings during the just concluded Global Service Customer Week. For Nigeria, stakeholders believe that the message should remain on the forefront in spite of the celebration or even after the celebration. A group of individuals made up of heads of customer service departments of various organizations, producers of products and services, and even customers are here to emphasize the need to pay attention to customer experience as a way to retain patronage and generally keep demand on Nigerian products and services.
If, say for instance, I had a bad quality product, I may have the most amazing customer service or customer attendant. I may give you a chance. I would give you feedback. It's an opportunity for you to refine your product. But if consistently we're still getting bad quality products, my money is more valuable. I would move. What does that mean? I would move. I'll tell my friends. I'll tell my family.
Needless to say, without customers, there will be no business. However, there are other benefits to businesses.
There is an important cost savings when it comes to delivering customer service that is excellent in nature. You save significant amount of money marketing. You save significant amount of money forcing your customers to use your product, because by nature, they organically use the product based on the experience that they use, based on the experience that they have. So for us, there is a strong need for businesses to understand that the gap that exists between the product that any company offers and the experience that the customer feels when they use the product, that gap needs to be closed so that the customers see the product as the experience. There is no difference between the product and the experience. They have to be the same. And that is when customer experience becomes an engine of growth for the company.
Customer satisfaction is an integral part of any organization and should not be treated lightly. The message at this meeting. Yeah, well, the world just concluded Customer Service Week, the celebration last week, but obviously it is an issue that should be given focus and attention even after that celebration. Now let's look at the Nigerian markets. And of course, the spillover to the economy as we really settle into the final quarter of 2024. We had, it was assumed that the financial market, the fixed income market specifically, will not be very active in the fourth quarter because of the level of activity which was recorded in the previous quarters. However, it's been noted that the yields still remain high. Does this mean that we can still expect a lot of interaction between the federal government and investors through the fixed income market? We'll talk about that and a whole lot more. Of course, the spillover into the economy with Mr. Oluwaseyi Odufuwa. He's the managing director of Capital Plus Limited. Mr. Odufuwa, thank you so much and good afternoon.
Thank you for having me.
Great. So, I don't know, purchasing power has really been cut down. And yes, we expect that investors or Nigerians or even non-Nigerians, we've seen a reduction in foreign investors, the number of participation of foreign investors in some of our markets. But in the midst of all our realities at this time, do we still expect a lot of investors to head to the market?
Yeah, I would say an emphatic yes. An emphatic yes. And the reason why I say so is because if you look at our market, we have two markets. We have the money market and the capital market. And I want to tell you that most of the investors are one. They just hover between both markets. And so once you have a bearish trend in one of the markets and you have a bullish trend in the other market, market forces tend to interplay. And so look at the last MPC meeting where MPR was increased by 50 basis points to 27.25. It's an indication, and a very clear one, that money market instruments, which is particularly fixed income, is more attractive. And for you as an investor or a foreign investor, thereabout, you want to compare both markets, definitely fixed income is a way to go because it's also on short-term basis.
But I'm wondering, is the purchasing power still there? Disposable income, is it still there?
If you can look at it from two ways. You are looking at it from the local market side, but the intention of increasing an MPR rate, on a regular basis, I think this is about the third time in 2024. The basis basically is to attract a lot of FX and also to curb inflation. And so 27.25 is not for local investors alone, but also for foreign investors. And if you look at the kind of directional inflow that comes in at the end of every announcement, both for treasury bills, look at bond, look at fixed deposits, there's no way, and even Eurobonds too. The traffic is there, and it will continue to be there. But disposable income for Nigerians, yes, you have a point there. But look at the bigger picture, which select its investors or people who bring in the funds from abroad.
But this is mostly hot money that disappears at the wink of an eye.
I agree with you 100%. And that's the flip side of increasing rates, at an alarming rate. If you look at it, monetary policies and fiscal policies, in economics, they must run at a parallel, ends, parallel lines, but different ends. So it means that as monetary policies is being rejigged, fiscal policies too must rise. And for the monetary side, like I said, the intention from the CBN governor is majorly to drive FX growth, and also to fight inflation. So on the capital market side, we've had a bearish market for a long time. When we enjoyed the market most was in January and February.
Yeah,
when
from
it
late
was
last year to early this year. Yeah.
Some investors made as much as 60% profit. But after that, immediately MPC meetings came and MPR was announced. On a regular basis, market has been very bearish, while the money market side has been quite bullish. Hot money, yes, I'll agree with you, but we must marry it with fiscal policies that will help drive it for sustainability.
Aren't we seeing some fiscal policy moves by the authorities?
I agree with you 100% that fiscal policies have been rejigged too, but fiscal policies is more of long term. And if you look at it, I spoke somewhere today and I made it very clear that the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will definitely hit the $1 trillion economy. I believe strongly. That
you do?
I do.
So we're on the path to it.
Yes, we can have conversations about that. But for this one, I want to believe that our major bane is insecurity. That's a major bane. If we can curb insecurity...
So you think with the insecurity, we'll still hit the $1 trillion
yes, we will
economy?
Hit. I could give you one or two examples where I feel...
I'm curious, actually.
we will hit the $1 trillion economy. Number one is inflation. Inflation in the last 2 years has remained bullish. But in the last NBS report, inflation fell to about 3%.
But it's going to go up again. And with the realities we have seen, certainly that it's going to go up again.
Let's speak for current trends now. So inflation right now, about 40% of inflation is food inflation. Of headline inflation is food inflation. About 40%. And so if we can solve food scarcity, if we can solve our agricultural issues, we curb about 40% of inflation. Inflation is supposed to reduce to about 26
But we have
to
energy
28.
feeding into now.
We have
Energy.
energy how?
Energy costs.
Okay, so we'll get there. I'm talking of how the president can achieve a $1 trillion economy.
Okay.
So if we curb inflation by curbing food inflation, sustainability in terms of feeding Nigerians, and also keeping some for exports. And going to export now, look at agro exports. 16.8% of GDP is on agro export. So all we need to do is to boost that economy. Once we boost it by doing more of, Nigeria is a mono economy, by doing more of export and non-reliance on the oil sector, then we'll continue to boost it.
So do you see the moves towards dealing with insecurity, post-harvest losses,
yes,
infrastructural challenges that
yes,
have stopped us
yes,
from achieving this food security you're talking about?
That's a beautiful one.
We have flood that has added to that list.
No. That flood is a man-made problem. And that's why...
Which is still our responsibility.
That's the point. That's why we
So I'm just wondering your confidence in achieving the $1 trillion.
I didn't complete that trajectory.
Okay, all right.
I didn't complete that trajectory. So number 2 is, building, more avenues to drive in effects. The more effects we drive in, the more we have purchasing power, spending power, and the more it drives GDP. Presently, our GDP is about $253 billion. And don't forget that we had not rebased in the last 10 years. The last rebasing was 2014, during Jonathan's period. And according to IMF and World Bank, we can rebase every 5 years. And I tell you now, MBS is looking at rebasing
They've
our
made the
GDP.
Announcement for months now.
No, they will. They're working on it.
We haven't seen it.
They're working on it. And I want to tell you...
I think you're working. You have some very close ties to the government.
It's 10 years ago. So, and it was 10 years before Jonathan decided to rebase, when we took over the economy of Africa. South Africa is number 1 now, Egypt is number 2, and Nigeria is about number 4. And so once we rebase at $253 billion, we should be getting closer. Another thing we need to look at is our oil production. Presently at about 1.4 million barrels a day, OPEC benchmark of 2 million barrels a day. We have a gap of about 600,000, still going back to insecurity. If we can close that gap of 600,000, let's put an average price of maybe Bonny Light of about $70 per barrel. It's currently about 79. Let's put a benchmark of about 70. Do the mathematics. You will see that Nigeria will have over $1 billion on a monthly basis as additional FX income for the country.
Honestly, all of your calculations have been done many, many times.
Yeah,
and
yes,
the pit holes or the potholes have been highlighted.
Yes.
So my wonder on your confidence is, do you see steps being taken to deal with, we see NNPC even having had to employ some private security outfit to deal with crude oil. But in spite of that, I mean, the last conversation that I had close to them is that our production is about 1.7 million. Even though OPEC will...
Inclusive of shale oil.
Yes.
Condensates.
Now, even though OPEC is, of course, when you exclude that, it's about 1.5. The last one we had was 1.3 from OPEC.
Correct.
So when you remove that, you have about 1.5 or so.
Correct.
So we have not met our target. Oil prices are reducing at this time. Insecurity is still a bane to our agriculture. We have not even fed ourselves. Our import bill is still increasing, even for food. So I wonder where you get your confidence of hitting that 1 trillion. We see our markets now, as you noted, yes, yields are increasing, but mostly they want to attract hot money, which cannot depend on make economic plans on.
It's only on short term. Okay, so beautiful. I'm an optimistic person.
I see that.
I believe in the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And if you look at it on paper, Nigeria is growing presently at about 3.1 to 3.2
that's our last
in terms of our GDP growth. So it's a right move in the right direction. But the growth is slow, we agree. I want to say emphatically that if we can put all of these trajectory and policies in place, we should be growing at about 6%.
When?
No, we should be growing.
Okay.
I'm saying that if we put all these puzzles together and solve insecurity is in the middle, is the bane. And to solve insecurity, Nigeria is too diversified. You see, ethnicity and religion is a big bane that is cutting the fabrics of our economy into pieces. And that's where our problem lies. If we solve insecurity, we solve oil production problems. We solve insecurity, we solve food production problem. And there's another economy that we are not even talking about that can generate up to about 15% of GDP. You know, it's a conversion for another day, but it's night economy.
Which economy? Oh,
it's
night economy.
Well,
with insecurity, you cannot even.
That's what
even the
I'm
travels
saying.
at night have had
that's
to
what
stop.
I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So, the U.S. economy, night economy contributes about 6% to total GDP. The UK economy, it contributes about 5% and over 1 million jobs. So, if we solve insecurity, and the best way to look at it, we must look at the kinetic and non-kinetic measures to be able to solve this problem. It's a problem that has bedeviled us for over 20 years, that predates the government of a one-year government that had just come to play. But every buck stops on its table. But what is the role of the governors too? We need to put all together to be able to solve insecurity. Once we solve insecurity, we solve so many of our economic challenges, and Nigeria gets to that part. But the right path to a $1 trillion economy is very, we can see it, and it's achievable. And that's my point, that if we put all things together, we'll be able to achieve it.
Perhaps you have not spoken to people on the street. People are hungry. I hope you know that. People just want, give me my $100 economy. Let me be able to take care of my basics.
You see, if you
know,
that's another conversation. I'm also a Nigerian. I'm also on the street.
I don't think you're on the streets.
I'm also on the street too. I feel the pains that Nigerians face. Look at oil. I think about 1,000.
And NPC, I mean, at least I saw one of them, they had, I think, 1,010 now.
Yes, will you tell me that in the last 5 years, the dollar that sold for a very long period, managed, if you would like to use that word, for 465 naira, was that the true value? We all know it's no. It's no. At the time dollar was 165 naira, we all knew that it was being managed to. So this is the only government that has taken the bull by the horn, I tell you, because a decade of over 20 years cannot be solved in 1 year. We must go through the pain, sincerely. We must go through the pain. Now, the cost of managing... How long do
you think the pain will last?
It could last for a little bit more, but we are almost there.
Which is how many months, years?
You know, I'm not in government directly.
No, you have to speak for government, because your confidence and optimism in government seems like you do have some background information.
As an investment banker, when you look at the trajectory, look at the banking sector, it's been strengthened. About 1.4 trillion naira being added to the banking sector. So it means that investing in the capital market right now at these current prices, you make a kill at the right time. So Nigeria must go through the pain, and that's what we are, hammering on. For you to get those investments to come in, the investing community, they must know the true value of the naira.
So are we on the true value now?
That's where we are. At 1,600, it's stabilized, and that's the true position. Okay. If we don't face our realities, we'll be living in denial for our future.
Okay, so where do you see us ending this year amidst all of this? How do you see this year ending? Ending for inflation, ending for investors, for the markets? I
want to believe strongly that for inflationary trends, the trajectory will not shift too much. At about 33% now, it's going to drop a little bit further because of the incentives for agricultural products that the government has put in place, and it's going to also drive down inflation a little bit. Like I said, food inflation is about 41% of headline inflation. So once food inflation continues to reduce, we will have a reduced inflation. That's on inflationary trends. In terms of the economy as a whole, we want to believe that the economy will grow. It will grow a little bit more. At 3.2%, we want to believe strongly that Nigeria will close on a very strong footing. Don't forget that
You think GDP will grow more?
It will grow more.
This year? This year.
Maybe to about 3.3%.
Okay.
Maybe to about 3.3%. Look at Dangote refinery. It's a factor. And that's why if you look at FX, it reduced a little to about 1,500 plus in the last 1 week because of the crude swap presently with NNPC. And with the trajectory of Dangote refinery, we believe that as oil production is being dispensed with marketers directly, we will see changes. Things will happen.
Okay.
Don't also forget, let me add, that the 70,000 naira minimum, national minimum wage,
yes,
if domesticated by every state, it increases purchasing power.
Does it really?
It
with
will.
The increased prices?
No, don't look at 70. No, that's the way to tackle it.
Okay.
It has been tackled already. We just need governors to domesticate. Look at two things President Bola Ahmed Tinubu did. Number one, he got autonomy for local governments. That's the first in the history of this country. Number two, after removing subsidy, he increased federal allocation monthly by 70%. How many people are bringing their governors to accountability? The fund is there to states. So how many people are bringing their governments to accountability? This man has taken the bull by the horn.
I think you're just a President Tinubu fan. You're just a President Tinubu fan, and I wish you the very best.
I'm speaking reality. We should hold our
reality.
Governors.
It's your reality.
You don't agree that we should take our governors to accountability?
No, but of course.
You don't agree that FAC allocation has increased by 70%?
Okay, it has increased to whose good? Is it to the good of the people?
That's why the people must hold their leaders accountable.
Well,
directly.
We agree on that. We agree
70% increase in allocation. We should have healthcare subsidy by state. We should have transport subsidy by state. We should have food subsidy by states.
And now we now have local government autonomy, so we should also be holding.
So let's they are the closest to us. Let's talk to them.
Actually, a very interesting conversation perspective that you have there. Not a very popular one, I have to tell you. So be careful how you go out there on the streets. He's the managing director of Capital Plus Limited, Mr. Oluwaseyi Odufuwa. Yeah. Thank you for your optimism. We wish you the very best.
I'd like to be back so that we can stress more on this trajectory. Okay. Thank you so much.
All right. We're talking about the market, which is where we started the conversation with Mr. Oluwaseyi. We'll head to the market and see how that's doing this afternoon. I believe from the corner of my eye, I can see that the NGX is up slightly so for this afternoon. And not a very comforting one because that's so close to the brink. Looks like it could fall off at any time. So it's up 0.01% at this time, intraday, at 97,603.06. South Africa is also in the green. It's just a little bit better than Nigeria, 86,000. But you see, it's since Friday, it's gained more than 85,000. That was a level. It's now 86,168.63. I wish there would be a move here. Let's go to the other market for Africa. EJX of Egypt is 0.63% in the green, also 30,142.91. While Kenya, where Ladi is at this time, we should tell him to report in from the market, from the stock exchange, you know. It's up, looking good. That's the close of Friday, 1.12% at 110. So finally, we see a move from 108 level that this market has been holding on to for quite a bit, right there, 110.13%. That's for the Nairobi Stock Exchange. So let's leave Africa and go to other parts of the world. I believe it's the Middle East we should be going to right now. If we could have the Middle East, the number for the Middle East, that would be good. Dubai, we see also having that event, the Gitex event is going on in Dubai right there. So, but the market is green, 0.38%, 4,457.6 for Abu Dhabi, also green, 0.39%, and 9,296.63. We see other parts of the market. Tadawul is on the flip side, as well as Qatar, both in the red. Intraday for those markets. Look at the United States, interesting one right there. A little changed, but we know that eyes are now counting down to the Fed meeting. And you remember we told you about 25% is what traders are pricing. 25 basis point cuts is what traders are pricing in at this time. So we see the stock futures in the red, 0.13%, S&P and NASDAQ, however, are in the green. Some interesting stocks, Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, and Johnson & Johnson have shared their results. Those are some of the movement. We saw our own here in Nigeria, where we saw that Transcorp Power earlier today. So they're expecting more. I think even Netflix are set, their United Airlines, they're set to release their own results on Wednesday. Walgreens, Boots Alliance, Procter & Gamble. So it's going to be an earnings week from the United States and I believe other parts of the world. And of course, we'll see the sentiments reflect in the numbers. For Asia, Nikkei sustaining the 39,000 level right there, 39,605.80, up 0.57%. Korea is very green, more than 1% up, 2,623.29. Hang Seng is in the red, lost 0.75% at the close of trade. We see other parts of the Asian market. Shanghai, very dramatic, volatile. Shanghai is in the green this afternoon, more than 2%, while India's Nifty is 0.66% in the green. And China's Minister of Finance, remember China is moving the market, the oil market. So China's Minister of Finance in that Saturday's press conference talked about that issue amid efforts to shore up the economy, stating that the government had a rather large space to increase deficit. I guess that wasn't very, very palatable for investors. So we've not seen very good reaction from investors from that. So we'll be heading to Berlin, but first let's take a break. When we come back, Lars Holter will bring us up to date on the German economy. Welcome back. Still watching Business Incorporated right here on Channels Television. We'll head to Germany now. That country has been struggling with weak economy for the better of 2 years. And now it seems data is showing even more worries, especially for economists. We have Lars Holter now joining us to give us the details. Hi, Lars. What's this latest story?
Thanks for having me, Ini. Well, the latest numbers we're looking at come from a survey among German companies, and it seems that insolvencies are up drastically. In fact, the number of companies filing for bankruptcy is up almost 14% for the month of September, and it has actually been rising by double digits every single month now for over a year, with one exception this past summer. So we're not looking at a few rough weeks or months here. We're looking at a major trend of companies going under. And there's obviously one major reason for it. The German economy is generally not doing well. And we just found out more about that last week when the government saw activity down 0.2% for the current year for the German economy. That's following down 0.3% last year. And more importantly, it's actually weaker than we had expected. Up until a short while ago, the government had been holding on some hope that at least the economy would slightly see some growth until they had to officially throw that estimate out. They gave us these updated numbers now pointing to an ongoing recession.
So what problems are plaguing the economy most at this time?
There are definitely some major problems, like two wars, obviously, still high energy prices tied to at least one of them, the one in Ukraine. There's a weak economy over in China that's having a strong negative effect on Germany as a nation that heavily relies on exports. There's, of course, the weakness in the auto sector, but there's also some homemade problems because, let's face it, high energy prices technically affect other markets as well. And other countries are also selling goods to China. However, other major economies like the US, but also other European economies are currently doing a lot better. So this company survey is telling us that one of the stumbling blocks for many companies is Germany's exorbitant level of bureaucracy. There's too many rules and regulations that often exact a toll on especially small and medium-sized companies that they can't handle. And now what's really worrisome, rising levels of insolvencies, of course, will weaken Germany's economy some more, with an estimated 20,000 insolvencies expected for this year. Creditors are out billions, much of which can likely not be recouped. So weakness here bringing upon weakness in other parts of the economy.
Yeah, that's a huge number there. I wonder how investors are reacting to this.
Well, you can't start the week without looking at Asian markets because they're just having a certain bellwether influence over those markets opening a bit later. And that's especially true, of course, after a weekend in Monday trading. And Asian markets opened the week with some weakness. That is after Beijing has announced another round of stimulus measures. But investors weren't impressed, mostly because the government's being pretty light on details. So markets there are not really inspired now with the role China plays in the world and supply chains as well as a customer. We'll have to see what European markets are making of it all. In very early trading, some analysts are hopeful that we will see the DAX in Frankfurt continue its recent climb, getting closer to that magic marker of 20,000 points. There's not a lot of news expected today, so we're likely looking at not too much volatility and kind of calm waters.
All right, Lars, thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Ini.
All right, now let's head to where Ladi is. Unfortunately, we are not able to see him today. I hope we will see him tomorrow. Well, Ladi is right now, as we speak, in Nairobi, where the Accelerated Partnership for Renewables in Africa is going on. Now, that is an African country-led international alliance of governments and stakeholders working together to accelerate the deployment of renewables-based energy systems to enhance energy access, enable green industrialization, and improve economic and societal resilience. Currently, APRA member countries include Kenya, Ethiopia, Ghana, Namibia, Rwanda, Sierra Leone, and Zimbabwe, with Denmark, Germany, the UAE, and the United States as partner countries. The Global Energy Alliance for People and Planet and the Rockefeller Brothers Fund are also supporting partners, and the International Renewable Energy fulfilling the Secretariat. I'm talking about the International Renewable Energy Agency. That was able to speak to him and another representative right there, and he sent him this interview.
Africa is accounted for only 1.6% of the global share of installed renewable power capacity. Sub-Saharan Africa energy transition-related investment was 40 times less than the world average per capita. I do not have to speak to you about the energy challenges that this continent faces. This is your daily work. In fact, we want to hear from you about your experiences and needs so that we can support you better.
Energy, as we know, holds an outsized influence on achieving the objectives of the Paris Agreement. With less than 7 years remaining to adjust our course, we are rapidly running out of time to stay within the 1.5-degree pathway and achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. Tripling the deployment of renewable energy is a crucial part of the strategy to reach these global targets. Across Africa, many countries have embraced renewable energy to accelerate their energy transition efforts. Kenya itself stands as a leader, with over 90% of our electricity coming from renewable sources.
And yet another event across the continent, Channels Television is well represented at the Dubai World Trade Center. They're holding the 44th edition of Gitex Global. The edition is expecting 200,000 visitors, 6,500 exhibiting tech enterprises, 1,800 startups, and 1,200 investors and VCs from more than 100 countries. States are also participating fully. For instance, the Lagos state government is participating there, and it says that it hopes to help Nigerian startups secure between $2 and $3 million in investment at that event. That's Gitex Global 2024 going on at the United Arab Emirates. The state's commissioner, that's Lagos State Commissioner for Innovation, Science and Technology, Mr. Tubosun Alaki, who is currently there, says that the fund will have targets, and Channels Television spoke with some of those who should enjoy this. They are innovators, and they say that their aim is to prefer solutions to current challenges.
There's going to be a device, one on a cow, and that device is able to tell how active the cow is, the geographical location of the cow, and also shock the cow a bit when it goes outside a geofence, which will be set up by the company. Now, what this means is that you can leave a cow to stray across the country, but it has its limited zones it can be in. When it strays into the wrong zone, it receives a bit of an electric shock. Cows can move alongside with the farms and still not stray into the farms.
The world is beginning to expand. Everybody's beginning to appreciate technology more. In fact, Nigeria is catching on, right? We're here at Gitex because for this year, it's really focused on AI. And here at Gitex, we're looking at how to bring the solutions we're putting in AI. Now, for us, AI for us is what we're bringing in. The solution we're bringing in is for meal planning, meal recommendations for those who do not have, who would like to plan their meals. And imagine a world where you are able to get your food recommendations on an app, and it's just with the available resources that you have, right? I have carrots, I have tomatoes. Recommend for me what to cook.
Interesting ideas there, especially that one about the cows, because the issue of the farmers and the cattle rearers in Nigeria is a major one, is a challenge for the food chain in the country. So, things like that may bring a solution to the situation at hand. Now, let's leave the events. Now, head to Kenya, where that country has cut its foreign currency denominated deposits in commercial banks by 210 billion shillings between January and July, as the shilling gained by over 20% against the dollar amid other world majors. According to the latest data by the Central Bank of Kenya, foreign currency deposits held by locals in banks declined by 13% to 1.39 trillion shilling. That's down from 1.6 trillion at the beginning of the year. Over the same period, the Kenyan shilling appreciated at least 20%, gaining from exchange rates of about 161 shillings for a dollar in January to 128 for a dollar as of July, signaling a drop in demand for foreign currency. And from there, we stay in Kenya, but in tourism now, where the country's tourism board is leveraging Kenya's missions abroad to anchor its diaspora tourism campaign in a bid to increase tourism arrivals into the country. Dubbed Ziara Kenya, one diaspora, one tourist, the campaign seeks to harness the over 3 million Kenyans in the diaspora to help market their motherland through their networks within the host countries. The initiative is expected to boost tourism arrivals, which is currently at 1.9 million, to a target of about 5 million by 2027, reinforcing Kenya's position as a preferred travel destination. And yet another story from Kenya. In partnership with the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, Microsoft has established the Africa Center of Competence for Digital and AI Skill. Well, this center aims to improve skills and service delivery across the continent. It aligns with Kenya's National Digital Master Plan and focuses on topics like human-centered problem solving and strategic foresight. The center will also provide micro grants to encourage innovation among public servants. This initiative is part of a broader trend of increasing investment in digital and AI technology in Africa, with other major tech companies like Microsoft and Google establishing operations in the region. We leave Kenya now. Egypt and the European Union have signed a £7 million green finance facility agreement. The initiative, which was announced during a Cairo Water Week, aims to support Egypt's green transition and address key environmental challenges. Egyptian Minister of Planning and Economic Development Rania Al-Mashat and Christian Berger, head of the European Union delegation to Egypt, signed the agreement. Beg your pardon, the agreement is €7 million green finance facility agreement. And the green finance facility aims to support policy dialogue between Egypt and the EU in the areas of water and green transition. It includes a comprehensive technical assistance package to enhance the country's capacity to develop sectoral strategies, improve water governance, and strengthen public-private partnership. Let's head to the crypto space now, and we saw recovery of Bitcoin over the weekend. So we see this afternoon that Bitcoin has hit 64,893.75. Look, I don't know if the bull season is back or so, but I mean, 64,000 up more than 3%. Ethereum follows suit. We see it also in the green, 2,536.74, almost 3% up. Solana green, XRP, TRX, VAX, and a whole lot of them are in the green. Cardano, however, is in the red. We have a Lumida additional now. We know that at least for oil, they've started pricing in or looking the way of the Fed's meeting for November and possible decision. I wonder if that has spilled to the crypto market. Olumide, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon. Thanks for me. I think if you look at the market oscillating towards positivity, it's coming from the world's second largest economy, that's China. You know, there are growing concerns that China's economy is stuttering. So the stimulus package highlighted by the finance minister on Saturday really brought in appetite for risk. And you could see that from the Chinese stock to major indexes, including the crypto market, went up. And that's why we saw quick recovery from Bitcoin in the early hours of Monday, breaking from the $62,000 mark to near 65,000 before moderating around 64,700. So it pretty tells you that the market is cautious, but if you look at it from a mid to long-term spectrum, it's not much a big deal. Bitcoin has been ranging since its most recent half in the early second quarter of the year. This is one of the longest consolidation phase ever in Bitcoin history. And I think despite inflows of ETFs, the market is still cautiously waiting on what's going to happen a few weeks from now, the US election. Don't forget that the US is usually the decider in the global financial ecosystem. So traditional investors, major stakeholders are still on the sidelines. But interesting to say that Bitcoin has performed well this year and is moving on, stamping its feet in the traditional space, but it hasn't taken the light out of gold.
Yeah, but even talking about the U.S. election, we know that Donald Trump also said some things over the weekend, about they'll help people should join him and help shape the future of finance, that there will be an exclusive space event on X, and all of that. I wonder how much influence this has had in the green number or the green color that we see at this time.
Definitely, a Donald Trump presidency will boost the crypto market. You know, he has openly been an advocate of Bitcoin, attended Bitcoin conferences, and he has support of one of the pro-meme coins advocates, also Elon Musk. So interestingly, you could see that his team also is talking about launching a crypto project, that will be built on the AVE protocol. So that somehow gives optimism. But you cannot sideline Harris to the incumbent vice president. He has been able to stamp our authority also in the digital space. A few days ago, the co-founder of Ripple donated, it was disclosed that he donated $1 million worth of XRP. And if you look at players like Mark Cuban, you look at other systemic entities also giving the Democratic presidential nominee some form of lever, it's really a fight to finish. And, looking at the polls, the battleground really will decide the election. And from major polls indicator, one can't really say who will become the next president of the United States. So the market right now will definitely be volatile until the November 4 election is concluded.
So we cannot say how perhaps the market can stay for the rest of this week?
What we can say is that we expect the fact that Bitcoin will likely stay above 16,000 if there's no retaliation from the Israelis this week. The Middle East also is an eyesore for the crypto market. The market is weighing the fact that Israel might not attack the Iranians as expected. The US has given them some form of lifeline. So the market seems to be watching that. But with what happened on Sunday, Hezbollah attacking the Israeli base, risk appetite is cautiously on play.
All right, so Olumide, we'll certainly be looking at the United States. That's where eyes will be on, both for the election and the Fed, expected rate cuts, the second one for the year. Thank you so much, Olumide, for your time.
Thank you for having me.
All right, just before we go, let's look at the headlines. I know we've discussed that United States, but there's also the stablecoin issue in UAE. Remember that they had approved, they pay some of their salaries through crypto. Now, the Central Bank of the United Arab Emirates has granted, in principle, approval to AED stablecoin under its payment token service regulation framework. The company had said that it makes it a front runner in the race to become the first, that's AED stablecoin, could become the first issuer of a regulated dirham-pegged stablecoin in the United States, so pegged to the dirham. And there were some concerns about this earlier because they said there were some restrictions on crypto payments and all of that. So teething problems, I guess, with that approval or payment of salaries through with cryptocurrency. And then, of course, we've discussed the impact of Donald Trump's announcement on the market this morning, which is expected to hold for at least a bit. But that's it on Business Incorporated. It's Monday. We do have plenty of conversations to do, 4 more for the week, and we'll keep you updated, keep you informed on your investment, on your economy. That's what we do on our business shows. So you can go to our YouTube channel anytime you want. Watch Business Morning, watch Business Incorporated, and then you can do it anytime that you want, how many times you want. I'll see you tonight for the stock market report, and then we'll be back again tomorrow. I'm Mini John Mekwa. Enjoy the rest of the day.